Howdy everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of what I'm calling the Clone Cabaret. Inspired, of course, by the incredible work of JCC 2224's Clones Corner series. Here's the idea. Each episode I'll highlight one batch of figures, could be official figures, kit batch, third-party customs, or decals I slapped together at 3 AM while binging the Clone Wars. This is the place where every clone in my collection gets a moment in the spotlight because each one tells a story, or just really looks cool. And today we're going to start strong with the Boys in Blue, the 501st. But before we get into the figures themselves, let's take a moment to talk about something that's a bit bothersome in the LEGO Star Wars community. And yes, this is going to be a bit of a tangent. Remember 2020? Everyone got hyped when LEGO finally dropped the 501st Battle Pack, and then not even 2 years later instantly pivoted to complaining the helmets had holes in, quote, the wrong place. Here's the thing. 2020 was 5 years ago. 5 years. 3 years since the helmet holes. And we're still out here, full-grown adults crying into our Bricklink carts as we purchase 5 or more battle packs, despite our grievances. And honestly, at some point, I think we all just need to take a step back. The way I see it, these are LEGO minifigures. Little plastic guys not even 3 3/4 inches tall. They've never been perfect replicas of on-screen armor. And that's not even the point. LEGO has always been about customization, mixing, matching, modding, etc. If you don't like a print, paint over it. If you don't like a helmet, swap it. And to me, customizing on account of those inaccuracies is way more exciting than chasing some mythical white whale of a perfect minifig that will never exist in the first place. But instead, we've all been trapped in this eternal cycle where complaining about something like the helmet holes has become less of a criticism and more of a personality. Like, it's some badge of honor. I mean, when did being miserable about LEGO become the actual lifestyle choice? Enter Ryan, better known as M&R Productions. On the surface, he's just a guy reviewing LEGO sets. But in reality, he's the Martin Luther of the put the Cody in the gunship reformation. The man breathes and aftermarket prices spike. Look, credit where credit's due, the man can grift. But we can't pretend his influence hasn't shaped this fandom into something far more hostile and joyless than it needs to be. Anyway, back to something less exhausting, my 501st collection. Because, unlike M&R, I have no need to gaslight you into thinking LEGO hates us to appreciate the clones we have or could have. Starting off strong with the leaders, the Jedi Generals of the 501st, we have Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano. These are their Season 3 and onward appearances, and these are practically the minifigures from the recent Ahsoka Jedi Interceptor that came out just this year. However, I have made some modifications, of course. For starters, Anakin Skywalker has Lloyd's hair in dark brown, as I personally feel that it works better than the current Anakin hairpiece that they gave us. And Ahsoka, I gave her older Leku, as well as a shorter Shoto blade for her secondary lightsaber. But other than that, they both have printed arms from Jonak Toys, and they are quite nice in my opinion. Moving on to clone captains, we have Captain Rex, of course, using Jonak Toys body and legs and arms, Cape Cantina cloth, Clone Army Customs rangefinder, and GCC helmet. He also comes with a face that is different than the regular Grunt. It is a smirk, and I think it fits Rex perfectly. Rex is my personal favorite clone trooper. I don't know if you could tell by stuff of how many Rexes you're going to see in this video, but I love him so much. Next up, for the ARF Troopers, we have ARF Trooper 5s in both his Phase 1.5 outfit and his Phase 2 outfit. Now, the main difference being between the two, the knee pad colors. As you can see, Phase 2 has white, Phase 1, blue. But other than the helmets, of course, being their respective helmets. That is the only major difference between the two. Finishing up the ARC Troopers, we have ARC Trooper Echo and ARC Trooper Rex, as seen in the comics. Now, like the Rex I showed before, these guys have Jonek Toys bodies, arms, and legs, Cape Cantina cloth, Clone Army Customs antenna and backpacks, and GCC helmets. Now, interesting thing about ARC Trooper Rex is that I never knew that Rex had an ARC Trooper helmet, as you can see here. Now, it wasn't till later on when I read the comic that he appeared, and I believe it's the one with Bats, the battle droid, that went haywire. Oh, somebody's speed racing out there. Anyways, I lost my train of thought. It was with Bats, the battle droid. And I believe it was featured with Obi-Wan as well. Very cool figure. I love him. Next up on the chain of command is an interesting figure, also from the comics. Or should I say, the books. This is Lieutenant Vaughn, or at least he's a lieutenant in my headcanon, as that's the rank below captain. Now, before Vaughn was to replace Rex, he actually appeared in the Battle of Yerbana in a book. And this is exactly how they depicted him, with his regular body and whatnot, but a regular Phase 2 501st Trooper helmet and a 501st Trooper Heavy visor. Not like Commander Cody's with the antenna and flashlight, though. Which is extremely interesting in my opinion. A very cool clone trooper. Very cool. Of course, I can't talk about the 501st without mentioning Operation Nightfall. Here we have Commander Appo and Darth Vader. Now, as per Vader, all I did was just give the 2020 Mustafar Anakin a hood and cape, and that's basically the youngling killer. But as for Appo, all I did was give him some custom arms and a pauldron, as seen in the Hasbro toy. And yeah, he looks exactly like the antenna mold 501st. Finishing up the Imperial 501st with Commanders Bow and Vill, respectively. Now, Commander Bow is my personal favorite of the two, as he's basically a Commander Bly 501st hybrid, which I really appreciate. With his macro binoculars that you could put down. I personally like having them up, but either way it looks great. And as per Vill, he's basically akin to Appo, except he has different leg patterns and a different comma, and if you want to be technical, a different pauldron. Let's take a trip to Umbara, shall we? Here we have Dogma and Tup, both of which I have unhelmeted to feature their custom faces and hairs. Dogma with the V tattoo and the slick back hair, and Dogma with the teardrop tattoo and his man bun. Very cool troopers. They are from GCC, and the heads are from Jonek. And a special thing I have with Dogma is he has a mortar on his back. Now the reason behind that is because in the scene, the friendly fire scene between the 501st and 212, we can actually see Dogma is one of the mortar troopers that wounds Waxer. So I decided, you know what, I might as well have him with the mortar, the one mortar that I built. So, yeah. Next on the chopping block is Jesse and Appo. I love Appo's design. It's so simple yet so perfect. With the arrow going down. Oh my goodness, it's just, I love it so much. And Jesse has a pretty cool design too in Phase 2. I'm not talking about the ARC Trooper armor, of course. That is a given. Oh, I forgot to mention, the reason why I didn't feature ARC Trooper Jesse with the rest of the ARC Troopers is because I like to consider him a part of the 332nd, which I will be making a video on, but I don't know, we got more screen time with him when he was working with Ahsoka, and definitely one of the more memorable scenes and Star Wars with the 332nd. His confrontation with Rex, that was... Oh, rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. Continuing on and finishing the Umbara boys are Kix and Hardcase. Kix was never particularly a favorite of mine. However, I have grown to love him over the years as I read the Force Awakens comics with Kix being the last surviving clone trooper with Siddharn Thano, I believe, the bounty hunter, the Crimson Corsair. Feel free to fact check me on that. But Hardcase, however, he was my favorite out of the Umbara guys. I loved him so much. Hence why his death and sacrifice really... It did a number on younger me, to say the least. Here we go. The backbone of the 501st. The regular Grunts. These are just the guys from the 501st Battle Pack in 2020. I'm surprised none of them have yellowed over the time, because I kept them in direct sunlight, these guys. I am so glad that they've remained white. I'm so glad. Because these guys are the heart of my army. I really love the basic 501st. Let's actually go back to Umbara for a second. Here we have a 501st Trooper with macro binoculars and a 501st Error Trooper. Basically, the story behind this guy on the right is that Lucasfilm had multiple animation errors over the course of the Clone Wars, and this guy was one of them. Mainly, whenever the 501st showed up on Umbara, they were missing the bottom nose paint of their helmet. They had the top part, strangely enough, but they were missing the paint on the nose. So a lot of people, not including myself, consider these guys a different detachment of the 501st, perhaps maybe Torrent Company or some other special squad that particularly was on Umbara. And though I don't subscribe to the theory, I wouldn't put it past Lucasfilm for doing that intentionally. Now, as we finally finish up Umbara, we have the 501st ARF Trooper, or as Clone Army Customs likes to call them, ARF Advanced Troopers, as these guys are different than regular ARF Troopers, the main difference being the cheek patches and the black lines on the legs. But I really like these guys. Especially seeing them on ATRTs or other mounts, they look very cool. I actually have a coworker who is not a fan of the ARF Trooper design, and I'm like, how can you hate this? It looks stunning, it looks cool, it looks tactical. But to each their own. To each their own. Next up we have the Battlefront 2 boys. The 2005 on the left, and the 2017 on the right, Jet Troopers. Now, I honestly... This might be a hot take, but I honestly prefer the 2017 Battlefront 2 to the 05. Now hear me out before you go into the comments and type whatever it is you're feeling. Hear me out. I personally have more experience with Battlefront 2 2017, and I basically grew up playing it, as opposed to the 05 version. It's completely generational bias at that point. There is no reason that, the 2017 is better than the 05. Like, the 05, in my opinion, is better, like, gameplay-wise. But the 2017 will always have a special place in my heart. Moving on to the Airborne Troopers, we have the classic 501st Airborne Trooper from Hasbro, but next to it we have a bit of a hodgepodge. Now, this is either a 5th Fleet Airborne Trooper or a 501st Sharpshooter, or I'm not too sure, because it can't be a 501st... Can't be a 501st sharpshooter because it doesn't have the correct helmet design, but it could also be a Utapau trooper from the concept art, which I'm inclined to believe, but I'm not too sure. I like to believe it's a 501st sharpshooter in my collection. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's a sharpshooter, Utapau trooper, or 5th Fleet Airborne? I'll let y'all decide. Next up, we have the 501st Heavy from Battlefront 2 2017. Now, all I did was give this guy a Clone Army Customs visor, give him a huge minigun, and I also gave him upgrade arms and upgraded legs, if I could just... There we go. To show the correct markings that these guys had, as opposed to Lego's... I wouldn't say lazier, but more... I don't know what to call it. But Lego is Lego, and we have to accept that. But regardless, I think these guys look very cool. Next up, we have the 501st Specialists from the 501st Battle Pack that came in 2022. All I did was give these guys some arms and upgraded legs like the Heavy. And other than that, these are the real McCoy. Very nice looking clones. I love them. I say that a lot for all of my clones, but I mean it. I really do love them. Finishing off the Battlefront 2 2017 lineup is the 501st Officer. I of course had to give this guy a comma, some upgraded arms, legs didn't need upgrading, and a Clone Army Customs rangefinder. But other than that, it's nothing too special really. Next up, we have the pilot scene on Umbara on the left, and the pilot scene on Yerbana on the right. I know that sounds sort of confusing, but Umbara, Yerbana, it's sort of a tongue twister. But anyways, I personally prefer the Umbara guy on the left here because of the regular 501st Blue, but also the black details. I really like that. Not to say that I don't like this guy. He looks very cool with the dark blue and the lightning bolt patterns, but I like both of them. They're very cool, but if I were to put one in my gunship, I would probably put this one. Then finishing up the pilots, we have Hawk. I believe he's a lieutenant, but don't quote me on that. He could be a sergeant or any other rank. Anyways, we have Hawk in his Phase 2 gear. Very nice. I'm so glad Clone Army Customs restocked his helmet very recently. I wasn't able to get my hands on him for the longest time until they finally gave him the helmet. But one thing I forgot to mention is my minifigures have been having a mixture of different styles of arms. Here we have the old style of Jonak arms. I've also put on my figures Firestar Toys arms, or GCC arms, or whatever. Personally, when it comes to the arms, I couldn't care less. As long as they're in the 2020 style, and it really doesn't bother me in terms of consistency. Next up, we have some interesting figures. Court-martialed Fives and court-martialed Jesse. Now, in case you all didn't watch the Clone Wars, which... What are you doing here if you didn't? This is when Fives and Jesse were court-martialed by Pong Krell on Umbara, and were about to be executed. They have the body gloves, like, exposed on the upper part of their torsos, and they have armor, strangely enough, on their lower half, including their belts. Which is interesting because they never took away Fives' comma, which has his holsters. So why wouldn't they take the comma away and thus the holsters? Like, you're just asking for trouble there, but I digress. These are from Jonak Toys, and very cool. Last up, we have Rex from Onderon, when he was teaching the guerrilla forces there. And we also have Fives in his last moments. An interesting figure, but it is cool to have in my collection regardless. It's basically just a grunt torso with Fives head and an Imperial kepi. Kepi, is that how you pronounce it? Kepi? Like, the Imperial hat. The Imperial hat, basically. And I got him from Tom the Builder, as well as Onderon Rex. However, Tom the Builder resold Rex from OBT Bricks. And OBT Bricks did a good job with Onderon Rex. I really like it. Especially the spray-painted helmet and goggles. It really completes the figure. I love it. I keep saying that. I don't know why I keep... Oh, excuse me. I almost completely forgot about the Phase 1 501st boys. Let me quickly just go ahead and grab them and put them up for you. Sorry about that, folks. First we have Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano in their Season 1 through 2 appearances. Now, basically, these are kit batches of real, official LEGO minifigures, with Ahsoka being from 08, except with the 2020 head and short legs, and Anakin being from 2018 from the Jedi Starfighter that he came with some darker hair. But there's not really much to say other than the bantha in the room of why is young Ahsoka in a tube top fighting in a war, but that's been done to death. Any Republic Heroes fans in the chat? Because you'd recognize this duo instantly of Phase 1 Captain Rex and ARF Sergeant Boomer. I really loved Boomer's design in the Republic Heroes game, and I'm sad we never got to see him in Phase 2, like a Phase 2 ARF Trooper. That would have been awesome to see. I'll probably see if I could kit bash one myself, actually. Anyways, ARF Trooper Boomer has a face, a special face with his scar, and a neutral expression with a slight smile. As per Rex, he has a jetpack, which I equipped him with. Standard issue 501st, not the special one that he had in Phase 2. But, oh my goodness, I'm just now realizing. That's a crack. Oh boy. Continuing the trend with ARF Troopers, we have the Phase 1 501st ARF Troopers. Now, these guys aren't technically canon, however, Hasbro did make a toy of them in the 08 toy line. So, technically, these guys exist. I'm not a fan of the design personally. Seeing the Phase 2 basic armor with a Phase 1 helmet, I was never really a fan of that. Especially in the Hot Toys department, where like they'll include like a custom Phase 1 501st helmet with Phase 2 designs on it, and it's like, it looks cool, but But, like I said before, to each their own. I'm sure most of y'all out there like it, which is completely fine. Speaking of the Phase 1 501st, here we have just a regular dude. He's made with all official parts except for the helmet, which is Jay's Little Things. Very nice. And there's not really much to say about this guy. He's very basically detailed. But I feel like we all need basic details in a world full of just noise and details and whatnot. Like, every army needs a base. I don't mean that in like an army base sort of way. I mean that in a acidic, basic sort of... What am I even saying? Anyways, here we have Mixer and Redeye from the episode where Anakin and the 501st are tasked with... Oh god, voice crack. Tasked with protecting Duchess Satine? I almost said Senator Satine. Jesus. On our way to Coruscant. these guys, they bit the bucket pretty quick. Like, as soon as they appeared, they bit the bucket. I wish they didn't, because they look friggin' awesome. Their designs and their helmets. I would have loved to see them get a Phase 2, but alas, they never saw the light of day. Here we have Commander Blackout and Spark. Now, before you type in the comments like, oh, these guys weren't a part of the 501st, hear me out. They were led under General Skywalker and Admiral Yularen. I like to headcanon it that these guys are a detachment of the 501st. Comms, chatter, shadow, whatever. These guys are Jonak Toys bodies with Clone Army Customs helmets. Nothing too special other than their gray design. I really like them regardless, though. And finally, wrapping up our 501st collection, we have Phase 1 Hawk and Matchstick. Now, I don't have much to say on Hawk here. He is a pretty basic RP1 pilot, or should I say 20P1 pilot. My apologies. But I do, however, have a little story with Matchstick. Now, Matchstick, if you don't know, was a clone pilot tasked with destroying the Malevolence. And during the trip to wherever the Malevolence was going to be at the medical station, they had to cross the Balmora Run. And I believe it was Matchstick whose Y-Wing was hit by not a Purrgil, it wasn't a Purrgil, but another space creature. I'll put it up in post, but apparently one of them hit his stabilizer. And during the battle on the Malevolence, over the Malevolence I should say, his stabilizer wasn't stabilized, and when pulling up over the ion beam, he... So, what me and my cousin would do when he was over, because he's from Arizona and he doesn't visit often, as I'd like to, but anyways, what we did is, we would hang out in whenever my mom was driving us somewhere, and we would hang out in the back seat and we would pretend like we're Y-Wing pilots and we're going to destroy the Malevolence, and we would always like signal call signs and whatever, like cut the chatter or something like that. It was so wholesome. So whenever I see Matchstick, I am fondly reminded of that time with my cousin. It is a very sentimental minifigure for me. Here I was, thinking we were done. In fact, I was supposed to film the Phase 1s last, but, oh well. I completely forgot about these guys. These are the Fanon 501st clones. We have a Phase 2 501st Gunner, Heavy Gunner, and we have a 501st Medic. I'm not too sure if you could see it through the riot shield. Let me just move it out of the way. He has a little medic symbol on his chest and on his arm. Pretty cool. So my idea for the medics carrying riot shields is that they would use them to protect the wounded, and they would have like small sidearms to like all stereotypical medics have, like in video games and whatnot. Like the medic classes are always not well armed, as opposed to like the infantry or heavy type of character. That's just my logic behind it. You don't have to follow it in your personal collection. Next up, we have the 501st BARC Trooper and 501st Engineer, Combat Engineer, from Battlefront 2005. Battlefront 2 2005, apologies. However, this is an alternate sort of color, as these guys didn't really show up in 501st colors. And the BARC Trooper is a custom design by Mandaim, like, figures, I think, is what they're called. I'll link them in the description. I'll link all the vendors to where I got these clones in the description for y'all's sake. And the reason why I collect is so I can share with people like you guys. And it brings me great joy just sharing my love for Star Wars with other people. That's really why I'm doing this in the first place. This is the final figure, I hope. 501st Commando from Jonak Toys. I believe he uses a 9... No, he doesn't use a 9er helmet. I believe he uses another Commando helmet. But, very cool basic design, implementing the 501st basic trooper design onto a Commando. It works really, really well, I think. And, the helmet could be a bit better. It could be a bit thicker near here, near the forehead. But, like I said before, you can't really ask for perfection in LEGO. If you want perfection, Jane, do something about it. Like, I could easily just paint over this helmet and make it the way I want it to be. That's the beauty of LEGO. But, I don't want to get tangential again, so I think I'm gonna have to cut it off right here. So that was a look at my 501st collection. I will be going over the 212th next, and I believe the 332nd after that. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment if you enjoyed what you saw, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.